Well, hello and welcome to this week's EMBN Show. And on the show today, we're looking at some new bikes, some fresh new adventures, and of course, most importantly, what you guys have been up to around the world. Well, what a summer we are having here in the UK. I'm now confined to the bedroom, whereas I'm sure Chris is still in the garden shed.
Yeah, I'm still here, Steve. It's actually raining today. I've got the shed roof is leaking and I've got a saucepan on the floor catching all the raindrops. It's pretty tech in here. Yeah,
are you home or away? What's the colours you got on today?
Playing green today, olive green in the new tee. How about you?
Oh, nice. I'm on the grape. Nice. Here. I do like the grape.
Not the wine, I hope.
Although, yeah, it's on the weekend. But it seems the light today makes it a bit more purpley, but I really like it. Anyhow, let's not hang about. The news this week is that Whyte have now launched an all-new Decoy, the very popular bike from Germany. It still keeps the Shimano E8000 motor, 540 watt-hour battery. I think it's 170mm travel. Maxxis tyres, Crank Brothers wheels, comes in under 23 kilos. And of course, the great thing about the Decoy is that it comes in a really wide range of sizes, and it's got a very progressive suspension, which, you know, it leads to quite a lively ride on that bike. €6,999 if you're interested, guys. Check out the Whyte website and get them ordered in.
Yeah, and other news, well, I think one event that I'm really going to miss this year is that Tweed Love Festival. We went and rode it last year, and that event was amazing. The Bosch e-bike festival, you know, all the festival vibes going on. It was an amazing thing, but unfortunately, due to the current situation, it's been cancelled. But it is definitely happening next year, and I mean, it's looking amazing. It's going to be the UK's biggest e-bike demo. You've got e-bike categories in their new enduro format called the Enjoyro. So it's like an enjoyable enduro event, which sounds pretty interesting. You've got the Bosch e-bike demo route, Bosch Electric Village, basically anything e-bike, and it is happening up at this festival, and that's happening on the 17th to the 19th of November in 2021 in Peebles in Scotland. So make sure you get up to that. It's an amazing time.
Did you say November? Did you just say November?
Yes, it's a bit of a late one, isn't it?
Now that is forward planning to the next level, but yeah, no doubt next year will be around as soon as we think. But Enjoyro, I like this, but I think there's going to be. I tell you what. If you guys have never been to an e-bike festival, the one such as Verbier or this one coming up in Tweedlove, get yourselves out there. It really is great fun.
Yeah, nice. And one thing I love doing, and I know you do, Steve, is exploring new ground, isn't it, on your e-bikes? And Shimano just launched a great new e-book. So this is like a book you can get online. It's going to document loads of those adventures, big epic locations. And the best thing is, of all, you can actually download those GPX routes to your Garmin's and things like that and go and follow them. And, you know, those guys have found some amazing spots. They've got some top level athletes. And if you look at those routes those guys are riding, it's going to totally blow your mind. So check that out. That's all online.
Yeah, do you know what? I certainly will check that out, because a couple of years ago we went on the Shimano e-mountain bike experience across the Pyrenees here on EMBN. It was an epic 5-day trip, so I'm interested to see what Shimano have got in that book there. Obviously, you can see loads more adventures here on EMBN on some previous videos we've done. Where have we been, Chris? We've been to Scotland, we've been to the Alps, we've been to Spain, we've been to Italy, we've been to France, but we leave some links down below. Now, earlier this week, British brand Whyte launched their all-new e-mountain bike, and I got a chance to get a first look at it. Yes, building on the success of their existing e-mountain bikes, Whyte have gone for a fine-tune and an update of their 180 and 160mm travel bikes. Fresh geometry, new componentry, and a new paint job. Matte moss. Kind of looks at home in the loam, don't you think? So, what do you need to know? Well, Whyte, a British company and well respected in the industry for their suspension. On this particular bike, a progressive suspension design with a light tune, which should translate to excellent grip out on the trail. There are 3 models in the range, 2 at 180mm travel and 1 the E160 RS, which is in front of me here, at 160mm, although it's actually 160mm travel fork and 155mm travel on the rear. 5 sizes, extra small to extra large. Now, you might be wondering why I'm focusing on sizing before such things as the motor and the battery, and that's because so many brands have yet to get sizing right on their e-mountain bikes. Check the website out, no messing about. Now, some of you might have noticed a broadening of the beast, and that's part of the update. Up front, we now have a Fox 38mm fork, coupled with a monster 220mm rotor up front and a 200mm on the back, which means this bike, along with the 180, is up for all kinds of nonsense, I'm guessing. It's a full alloy frame from front to rear with some really neat internal cable routing. Now, when we talk fine tuning, Whyte say they've now found parity between such things as the head angle, 64.5 degrees, slightly higher bottom bracket, and a slightly longer chainstay at 442mm. Of course, this is all tied in with a suspension design, which Whyte say now provides for a lively and engaging ride. Some really neat touches in the WTB e-bike specific rims at an internal width of 30mm, and the tyres, a Minion DHR with a double down compound on the rear and the mighty Assegai up front. Forgot to mention, new updated Bosch motor, Bosch Performance CX, 85 Nm of torque, internal 625 watt-hour battery. So that's it, see you in a bit. Chris, interesting video you put out last week, which was 5 items you will definitely need to replace on an e-mountain bike. Now, James Edwards says this is such basic information. Why not add how long the item should be expected to last and a bit more information? James, that is tricky. That's a tricky thing to do. For example, if you live in a rocky area, then if you've got soft compound tyres, they're going to get worn out far quicker than if you live in an area where maybe there's soft mud, such as here in Wales. And things such as if you live in a mountainous area, then your brake pads will wear out far faster than if you live in a lowland area. That's almost impossible to cover that, Chris. Do you think?
Definitely.
Or am I missing a trick here?
No, I think it's bang on. I think even just down to the components on your bike, like your drivetrain, depends on how well you maintain it. The guy that strips and degreases and lubes his chain before every ride is simply going to have a chain and components that is going to last a lot longer than the guy that leaves it baked in mud and crusty in the shed and rides it the next day. You know, so many different variables going on in there. You simply couldn't put a time frame on how long a component will last.
Yeah, so James, I'm sorry about that, but I think that the aim of the video is actually to make maybe new people to e-mountain bike aware of what components they should be looking at to replace along the way, not something which you were after, I'm afraid. And then Pat 1, 2 free hubs, another 2 hub bodies for stripped out ring gears, not to mention wheel rebuilds, UGG. What does UGG mean?
UGG. Oh, I think. Like disgust. Oh, that's what I think it means.
Is that with a H?
Yeah, it's meant to have. But I think that's a good point, actually. Yeah, free hub bodies, particularly if you're running like the lightweight aluminium free hub bodies, they can take a bit of a hammering. So I think we've learned from experience on this, Steve, if we're going to be doing that, Mavic actually do a steel free hub body, obviously if you're running Mavic wheels, but that seems to work out good for us. Every time you remove a cassette to replace, it does come off easy. I know with the aluminium ones, they definitely do eat into that a free hub body, and you do have to have a bit of a battle to get it off sometimes.
I've got to be honest,
a nice little hack for you.
I think it's actually
I got a nice little hack if you do have that. Carry on.
I think it's actually quite shocking how some free hub bodies do wear after a very short period of time. So it's interesting to see how many wheel companies are now making steel free hubs, which are far more durable. And of course, you don't really need a lightweight alloy free hub on your e-mountain bike. What are you going to say, Chris? Sorry?
No, definitely. I was just going to say a nice little hack I've learned. If you do have the cassette that's jammed onto there, I just get 2 chain whips and literally oppose each cog. So you pull it back on one and twist the other cog until it becomes free and just remove it one by one. Otherwise, you can end up pulling your whole freehub body out of the hub, which becomes an absolute nightmare sometimes.
You're such a patient guy, Chris. I'd probably launch mine off a cliff. Right, climb of the week, and it looks like a return to crash of the week. Now, Ian, who's been at it again, great contributor here on EMBN. Ian, it'd be good to catch up with you at some point on the channel to have a chat. Anyhow, he's been shredding the beast up in the Peak District, shaving 5 seconds off his personal best. Becomes a little bit unstuck here, shaving some skin off too by the looks of it. A few stitches and plasters, and he's all good. Anyway, Ian, great to see you, absolutely hammering it. And don't forget, guys, to send us your videos in, your climbs, your descents, your prangs, your crashes. Did I say prang? What's a prang?
Prang.
Yeah.
That's a prang. This is how it passes as a crash.
Crash.
Nice, but absolutely flying there. Good stuff. It's time for a little bit of tech of the week, and it looks like we've got another Ian here, and this is Ian from Doncaster, and he's been busy making up some bash guards for his Kenevo. He said he tried a 45-pound bash guard and it didn't work where he rode. So metal just doesn't, he's saying that the metal bash guard that he had doesn't have the same effect and the bounce that the plastic has. So he brought a sheet of Kydex for £8 and made 2 bash guards. He says he's been testing it out to the max and it's an absolute winner. I mean, that looks pretty slick, doesn't it, Steve? It looks good, doesn't it? Bit of tech going on there.
Yes, you're right. Metal doesn't bounce. Motors certainly don't bounce that well. I guess it depends what type of tree you're bouncing them off. But if you're up against rocks, then a bash guard is certainly a neat little upgrade to have on your e-mountain bike. Maybe we should do a piece. Maybe we should do a piece on bash guards, e-mountain bike bash guards. Right, well, it is time for Out and About. I love this part of the show because it shows how versatile e-mountain bikes are, and some of the locations you guys send in are truly mind-blowing. To begin this week, we've got Timothy, who seems to have flown in to a location in Alaska in a helicopter with his Turbo Kenevo, and it doesn't actually get much better than this. Tim, I'm envious about this trip of yours. Absolutely.
Definitely, it looks super cool, doesn't it? Look at that. Well, we've got from Alaska to Chicksands Bike Park in the UK, and this is Ryan, and he's hitting up the trails on his Lapierre Overvolt. I think he got a bit of inspiration maybe from the video I did with Tom Cardy and Cara out at Chicksands, but he said he'd been working away down south and decided to bring his bike with him. And he checked out Chicksands Bike Park and his first time doing some decently sized dirt jumps on his e-bike, and he absolutely loved it. And looking pretty stylish there, liking that. Nice one.
And what about Tomo, who's on the north coast of Mallorca and the Balearic Islands on his Lapierre Overvolt M600 and a specialised Turbo Levo?
I recognise that very corner. I've ridden that trail probably about 8 years ago, I think, but it's an amazing trail and an epic view. I mean, that looks amazing. And then Tomo is saying, this is the land for e-bikes, discovering new territories never ridden before and now enjoyed thanks to the e-bikes. The pictures were taken on the north coast of Mallorca, like he's already said, and that is an epic spot to ride. And yes, I've ridden that trail. Nice one. Yeah.
Now, meanwhile, looks like Harold is feeling strong here, lifting the e-bike way above his head. In fact, that is a downhill e-bike. Harold's on his high bike downhill 8. Now, how about this one then? In the Vinci, South Tyrol in northern Italy. I think that's heading up towards the Dolomites, if I'm not, if I'm right, if I'm wrong. Excited to be on his first Alpine tour after lockdown. Love that area, love it, absolutely love it. That's in the area I mentioned earlier about the Shimano e-mountain bike experience. Anyhow, great. Some, like I said, some fantastic locations. It just makes you, want to get out to those places. And we're certainly missing that at the minute. Keep your photographs coming in. Wherever you are in the world, it's great. Kicking off the bike vault this week is Matthew and his Paradox Kinetics Hermes powered. I know this is a Greek motor. It's a cracker. Structure Cycleworks SCW1 with 12-speed XTR. He is out for a ride on Spider Mountain Bike Park in the Burnett, Texas. He says, He says, this bike is my 200th mountain bike in 30 years and it is light years ahead of everything else I've ever owned or ridden. Do you know what? Matthew, I've actually had 45 vehicles, but 200 mountain bikes.
That's a lot.
That is absolutely, that's mental.
Crazy, isn't it? It's a funky looking bike that though, it's nice. What do you think to the shot though, Steve?
Matthew, we need to catch up with you. That's just blown my mind. You sure that's not a typo? 200.
200th mountain bike in the description, apparently.
Well, Chris, it can't be super nice. It can only be nice because he'll probably change his mind next week and get something fresh.
But check this shot out. This is from Andrew, and he must be out looking for a pot of gold here. A huge rainbow in the background there. And he's out on his 2019 Giant Trance SX Pro on the Lake Okarika in New Zealand. He said it's been raining lots and the sun finally came out, so he hit an epic track. Big climbs, gnarly downhills, and a 40k ride through the native bush on the Western Okatina track. And I think that is one word for that, and that is a super nice.
Anyway, Mike is on his Specialized Turbo Lever, getting the rides in before it gets too hot. He is at Beacon Hill eMTB Trails in Spokane, Washington, USA. He's riding a new trail with some great slabs and decided this was as good as any other place to snap a pic. That, Mike, that is super nice.
Super nice. Whoa, some red rocks. Now this looks like Devon. Oh, close. It's actually in the borders, so this is in Taunton, so that's Somerset. So pretty close to the Somerset shed here. And this is David. He's riding a 2014 Highbike X-Duro All-Mountain Pro. He says, away with the family in the caravan and managed to escape for a few hours, proving that although my bike is now 6 years old, it can still get him up those hills. And I think that is a super nice shot.
Absolutely super nice. Bit of tan wall action here going on. I love the tan wall. So does Bobby. He's riding a 2020 Levo up the hills of Pont Sgethin in North Wales. Bobby, we'll be up in North Wales soon, so maybe we can meet up. First time on the tan walls. Yeah. Super nice.
Cool. Oh, wow. Great looking Vitus here, kind of blending into the background, and this belongs to Andy. He's on top of the World Trail in Woodbury, Devon on his Vitus E Summit, which is a custom build. He says, towards the end of a nice 20-mile single track ride, got a few friends out there, and he's fully converted to e-bikes as well as his riding buddies. And I think that is a nice shot.
Yeah, absolutely. And now we're back to a bit more native bush. This time the native bush is in Bright, Victoria, Australia. Nice rocks and a bit of moss. Looks cool to ride some. Ride his Norco Sight C1 belongs to Stephen. Now, Stephen says that 6 years ago, my wife was hit by a car. Crikey, did 100 mile an hour whilst on her road bike. Crikey, she was airlifted to hospital. After a year of rehab, she was able to get back on a bike, but not a road bike, a mountain bike instead. After 5 years of loving mountain biking, her body just can't keep up, so decided to get an e-bike. Wow, it's obviously a sad and happy story at the same time. According to her, it's the best decision she has ever made. Guys, sorry to hear about those sad tales from Victoria, Australia, but hopefully it sounds like you're having a great time. Which only leaves one thing to be said, and that is super nice.
Super nice for sure. Wow, a nice shiny new Decoy here. This is belonging to Daniel. This is a Pro 29er model. He's shredding the moors between Rockdale and Rossendale. He's out for his first shakedown ride on his Decoy. Amazing blast using trail and boost, testing out the range before the big ride. And I think that's definitely important to do, learning how far you can go on an e-bike. And that is a nice shot.
That is nice. And there's only one bike left in the bike vault to potentially claim the bike of the week. And this is a huge chainring here. If you need one, Grant is on his custom trek rail in Waikato, New Zealand. He's out exploring a section of the New Zealand cycle trail that runs the length of New Zealand. That, Grant, is super nice, which leaves the only one thing to be done is that's the bike of the week. Chris, the bike of the week this week goes to who?
Oh, I don't know. Some pretty strong entries this week. I'm just having a run back through it, but I think that rainbow shot is pretty epic, and that's Andrew from New Zealand on his Giant. Nice one for sure. Keep them coming, and as I say, could be your next week's show. Use the upload service. Don't send them in to us via social media. Upload service is the best way to get your bikes featured here on the show. But it's been a banging show as always, Steve.
It has been banging. Don't forget to let us know what you think about the new Whyte e-mounted bike, the new Whyte e-mounted bike, the new adventures from Shimano, and let us know if actually you've already planned your next November activities out in Scotland at the Tweedler Festival. So thanks for joining us. Chris, great to see you, and we will see you next week.